Hello, everyone. How's it going? I love how I say hello, everyone, like anyone's watching this. Not yet, all right? Uh, but a little bit of a different setup today. I'm in my room. Look at my Izzy poster. It's fucking awesome. Guys, I'm feeling inspired. Fuck. Feeling inspired. I'm feeling motivated because every once in a while, a fight comes by that reminds me and reignites the flame in my heart for combat sports, right? It inspires this artistic side of me, and maybe my phone will be better if I hold it this way. No, no, okay. Um, it inspires me, and that fight I'm talking about today is Eubank versus Benn, the boxing fight that just happened this weekend. A fight that speaks for itself, really. How incredible it was. You definitely don't need me to tell you if you watched it, just how fucking amazing. Oh, it's just, yeah, excellent. But I tried something a little bit different today. I rewatched the fight, I took some notes, and I think there's a great conversation to have. I think it's an amazing time to be a combat sports fan. And as I said in the beginning, you know, I've watched so many fights, dude, throughout my life, but every once in a while there's one that just reminds me why this is the best thing on the planet. It really, really is. And I apologize if I sound a little bit nasally. My allergies are killing me lately, genuinely killing me. Um, and it's been affecting my sleep. I probably look fucking tired. I don't know, dude. Um, but I watched the fight, rewatched the fight, took some notes. But like I said, I think a lot of this fight speaks for itself, and so it's it's just amazing. It's just, and I'm not usually a huge boxing. Like I watch everything. Okay, I watch everything. But like, if you were to tell me there was a big WWE on, there was a big UFC on, there was a big Glory on, a big bare knuckle fight on, boxing is probably the and a big boxing. Boxing is probably the one I'm gonna choose last, just because oftentimes, and I'm sure if you're watching this video, you know, oftentimes you get a big boxing fight that just goes 12 rounds and it's a point fight and it's kind of boring and with all due respect, it's just I think the way of the sport that it's set up, the structure to have success in boxing, I think a lot of fighters feel the need to fight somewhat timidly, and I totally get it, which is unfortunate, but we rarely get a product like we saw on Saturday, and this weekend we did. And I just I just love it, and I think it comes at a perfect time, at least for me, where broader conversations can be had about the sport of all combat sports, why I think there has been a bit of a lull in MMA. I would like to inject that conversation into this because maybe that maybe you think it doesn't have a place here, but I do. I think it's relevant because it's something the sport is going through, and I think this fight has something to say about it. And yeah, so I know it's a lot. All right, let's. I just want to talk about this. It's just from the walkouts. I mean, we all know the story of Eubank and his dad showing up, and that was just such an amazing moment. But the fire and the intensity, even right before the fight starts, they're in the ring together, Eubank and Ben, and facing off, and you just get this feeling like this is gonna be special. and it goes beyond what so much of boxing is to me, which is what I touched on, which is the belts and people fighting timid and the boxing, I guess, community, I could say, or the higher ups put so much stock in records and who's the champion, and there's so many weight classes. There's so much about boxing that I fucking don't like. This fight goes beyond that. It wasn't for any belts. Eubank has had losses. I didn't go into this fight caring about technique or champions or future prospects. I went in and it's not like I was following every single interview before this fight. I just knew it was a big fight and I saw some of the press conference clips and it got me interested for sure. I went in because of that, because I felt the energy that these two had. And you feel that right away in the fight, from the face-off to as soon as the bell rings. It was intense the whole fight. And then you get to a point in like round 8 or round 9 where it just becomes just an absolute war. Yeah, what do I have in my notes here? Like, the emotion that they had, you can feel a real competitive nature. It was so good. I'm so glad I got to be alive to watch this fight. And it's hard for me to talk about it because words don't do it justice. But I wrote here, it's like why I love combat sports and real energy and passion to create moments. Something that got me into this sport. That's what captured me. That's what drawn me to this whole thing. First fight I watched was McGregor and Mendez, and I didn't know how much UFC belts meant at that time, or how important the fight really was. But I felt how important it was to Conor that he wins this fight, that he goes in there no matter what. And that's what I noticed the most. That's what I felt the most. It's the emotion he had. It's the same thing with Conor and Eubank. You felt their emotions, how much this meant to them. I love that shit so much. And it's what makes combat sports so amazing, is how high it can go, how low it can go. You guys know all this already, but I think it really applies to this fight in particular. And I touched on this in a previous video. I think combat sports, and this is a thought I've been playing with. I don't know how much I even agree with it, but I think combat sports are at their best when it turns somewhat subjective. Like, you notice in this fight, there was a winner, there was a loser, but would any of us have been super upset if Benn got the decision? I don't think so. That's not really what was important. What was important was the fight itself. And that's fucking sick, dude. That's fucking sick. I love it. And that's like the sport being subjective. We could watch that fight and take so many different lessons from it. I don't really care how their technique looked. I don't really care who won what rounds or anything. That all went out the fucking window, which rarely happens when watching this sort of stuff. And something else I noticed during the fight was, like I said, towards the eighth round, it sort of just became a war, and the way they were just fighting on the ropes, dude, just battling on the ropes, showed so much heart, just back and forth, over and over and over. Man, that shit was legendary, dude. And I could talk about the walkouts all day and the moment the dad came out, but I don't know. I just felt like I had to say something about this fight because it was special, and good boxing is awesome. I gotta say, good boxing is awesome, and like I said, a great time to be a combat sports fan. I think this fight lends itself to a broader conversation that's going on in MMA right now, which is UFC and their star problem, and there's been sort of a lack, in my opinion, in MMA lately. Um, I don't know what to attribute it to. Is it a lack of big stars or big fights? I don't know. Something feels stale. And then you get something like this, and it's like, wow, this is amazing. And I wonder what lessons we can take from that and put it into MMA, and that the UFC can take. It's, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Something needs to change. But that's what I was thinking about today while rewatching it. I was like, wow, this is so good. And MMA hasn't made me feel this way in a while. I still love it. I still watch it all the time, but there hasn't been a story like this, a fight like this in a long time. And I wonder if they'll run it back. I don't know. I watched some of the post fight interviews. I saw Eubank Sr. saying how he would appreciate if his son would just leave now. And there's something to that. There's something to retiring now after that fight. It might seem like a wise choice. He wants to fight Canelo, which I think he deserves. I think he should get that shot, go test himself against like the tip of the spear. I think he's earned that after that fight. I of course would love to see a rematch, but can it top that? I don't know. Um, that was just so good, so it's kind of tough to call for that. Um, but wow, what a moment! This weekend we got so much stuff too. Karate Combat tomorrow, Ryan Garcia in Times Square tomorrow, Canelo Saturday, Corey Sandhagen Saturday. Like, it's a good time to be alive. It really, really is. And it's I'm just glad this fight happened because it's one of those fights that deepens my appreciation for this sport. And yeah, it was fucking sick, dude. So I wanted to come on here and talk a little bit about that. I haven't been super consistent this week. It's just been busy. I've been tired. My allergies have been fucking me up, dude. But I wanted to get on here and at least talk about this. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys soon.